Okay, so here's part two, and we're going to go to our second colony here. Now, I don't know if you notice the difference right off the bat, but I mean, this colony is looking good. It's looking like it might be a little light on feed, just from, I'm not seeing a lot of puffed out comb that's capped. There is some here. You can kind of see the capped comb. This one might be a little bit better. You can see the capped comb there in between the frames. I don't know if you can really see that. Anyway, but these ones here look lighter. So just from seeing the way the bees are on the top of the frames and everything, I can tell this is a good colony. They should be queen right. My next concern is their weight. And so I'm going to tip the box, and they're a bit light. And so what we're going to do is give them some feed, and we obviously have these frame feeders here. But if we tip this box, we can see that, I mean, they've got a good population of bees. We gave them a big thing of pollen sub. That is gone, which is also probably why they're lighter as well, because that stimulates them to raise brood. But that's really the only check that I would worry about this time of the year. If you are wanting to get a little bit more intimate with the hive and see what the queen is up to, she's most likely going to be in the bottom box, because naturally, as this time of the year comes about, they put the pollen. I don't know if you've seen your typical frame or colony. The way they like to organize stuff is you have your brood, a ring of pollen, and then nectar around that. And so obviously they see the second box oftentimes as the periphery of their brood nest. So that's where you're going to find pollen, honey. You might see some brood up here, but chances are pretty good, unless you have been being really aggressive with pollen sub, which is their protein source, and feed, which is their carb source. Chances are they're going to have their brood consolidated into the bottom. So that's where I would, if you feel so inclined, go to the bottom, pull a side frame so you have room to work, move over 3 or 4 frames, pick a frame or two from the middle of the colony, and you can probably get a pretty good idea of what's going on. Okay, so here's our last one. Okay, once again, good solid cluster of bees. I really have no concern or reason to go further than this, except for to feel their weight. And so I'm going to give them a little smoke here, and then crack the box with my beautiful hive tool, brought to me by Strong Microbials. Oh, this is Strong Microbial. Which, by the way, they are great people. It's a great product. The lady that works for them is a great sales lady, and she sent me this hive tool. Anyway, I mean, got a good colony cluster of bees. Once again, no trace of the pollen patty that we put in there. I mean, we put in a fair amount of pollen patty. So anyways, the weight definitely better than this one, but I'm still thinking we need to, yeah, probably. So when you have doubles like this, double deeps, you're looking for a goal weight of around 120 pounds for both of them. Usually, oftentimes, what I'll do is walk up to a hive and just tip it back. And I've been doing this long enough, I can tell if it's where it needs to be. But specifically around 120 pounds. In a single, you want that around 75, 80 pounds, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think this one will give them some more feed. I'm thinking, I don't know. I was thinking about taking these down to California, but we'll probably, you can play with your bees too. See them coming to check out. Who's knocking? Who's knocking? Anyways, these things are so fascinating, so cute. But anyway, so yeah, we'll give them feed, and then they should really be good to go. I've had a lot of people ask me about what are those called, blanket boxes, or boxes that you have a quilt in for moisture. Make sure here's how we set up bees. Most of our bees obviously go down to California. These are the only hives really that we keep here year round. But I just make sure the lid is a lid that water can't leak through. And looking at this lid, it's kind of funny because you look at this massive crack here. I would be inclined towards actually just wintering them like this as is, but I'll probably give them a better lid. But just even them having a top entrance like this is sufficient. And you know, the biggest worry you have to be thinking about in preparing your bees for winter here, or really anywhere else, well, but especially here, is mice. But you can solve that by getting some, I think it's 1/2-inch hardware cloth, and just cutting it the length of your entrance. Cut it maybe about that wide, and then fold it into a V, and then put that into the entrance. Bees can still have access to come and go, but mice can't get access to your colony. So wrapping up, these two look good, and all I have to do now is just give them one more round of feed in the frame feeders, and they should be good to rock and roll. Okay, so a quick little addendum, and that is I did decide I want to go ahead and give those two colonies a little bit more pollen sub. I like going into winter with big bees, strong bees. It just puts you in a better, I mean, they might go through a little bit more feed than a weaker hive, but it puts you in such a better position in the spring as far as splits and everything else. So these are probably about 2 pounds a piece, NUC, which is just a really pretty incredible product developed by a guy. I've never really been into being a celebrity watcher person, whatever. But those of you, or probably none of you, but people who work very closely with me hear me talk about Keith like he is a celebrity, and in my mind and book he is, as far as just his expertise and everything with bees and bee nutrition, and he's the one who develops this NutriBee. But anyways, yeah, just gonna throw these in, and we'll catch you later. One other thing I was gonna make mention of, if you give your bees pollen sub and you come back a week or so later and your other colonies are eating the sub, but you find a colony that hasn't, chances are pretty good that they probably have a queen issue, because bees will only use pollen or pollen sub when they're brooding. And so just kind of another little tip there.